Hello, everyone. Today we're going to talk about business intelligence at HealthyCo and how you can utilize a business intelligence team to enhance your company vision. So first, let's just start off with some business intelligence, or from now on, I'll just simply say BI basics. So a BI team and business intelligence in general means using data to leverage a competitive advantage as shown in the data and to support decision-making processes. So this helps further the strategic goals of the company in the long term as well as tactical goals in the short term. So a typical BI team consists of a business manager, program manager, ETL engineer, data architect, and sometimes a business requirements analyst. So just quick breakdown, the business manager is appointed by stakeholders and doesn't really have a technical role. This person acts as a customer throughout the process to make sure that the business objectives are being met. The program manager then ensures that the BI team itself meets those business objectives by enabling or ensuring that technical tools are provided, deadlines are being met, and that, yeah. And then the ETL engineer, ETL stands for extract, transform, and load, which are all data related tasks. So extracting data from various systems and sources, transforming the data into a standardized fashion, and then loading the data into the database and eventually somewhere where it could be utilized and displayed. So this is a extremely technical position that requires strong database and system skills. A similar position, although different, is the data architect, which is still technical but not quite so much. The data architect knows everything there is to know about the data in the database, the type of data it is, where it's coming from, what its source is, which system it belongs to, how it relates to other data, etc. Finally, the business requirements analyst goes out and collects data from the customers and makes sure that the technical requirements of the BI team are being proposed to the program manager and then the business manager, and also that the requirements of the business from the business manager are proposed to the business intelligence team. So all of these positions never interact with customers except the business requirements analyst. That person is responsible for more or less communicating between customers and the business intelligence team. So why should you use BI in the first place? We just went through all these roles. It sounds like a lot of hiring that you're going to have to do, but what's the point of this? The point of BI is to use data to make informed strategic decisions. So instead of making any decision that you make, you'll have solid evidence and more or less proof of why this is a valid, good, and reasonable decision. BI leverages actionable information, like AKA data, to exploit competitive market advantages. So you might think that you have an advantage in one particular domain, and maybe you're right and you exploit it using advertising or whatever, and you invest resources into it. Maybe you're wrong and now those resources are wasted. But more than likely, there is something where your company could be further improved, and the data collected by the BI team would display this, and you currently have no idea about this particular advantage that you actually currently have and don't even have to develop. You just need to exploit it. BI will give you the insight into what that is. And lastly, BI just promotes customer satisfaction, because we know that customers are happy when they feel that there's a relationship with the company. So this can be done by mobile engagement and then obviously user interaction. So how do we integrate BI into HealthyCo? You're in the web portal. BI can track website flow, user demographics, and email reminders. So this would consist of like total time using the website, the device or browser used, the specific pages that are viewed, any transactions that are required. So for example, when they're scheduling appointments with doctors, which type of doctors they're searching for, etc. We can see their previously viewed website. We can also see the time and location of when they are accessing the portal. The mobile app has all of those benefits, plus enables mobile pings of users. Pings are like push notifications where you can, prompt a user to rate the app, right? Or prompt them to update certain information if you know that their health insurance is going to be expiring, etc. You can give them reminders. And then we get real-time access to their location, which enables specialty software services, such as like finding the nearest hospital. And you could even then filter that, find the nearest hospital based on previous user ratings, et cetera, and filter it based on what kind of doctor you want to see or the expected wait time, etc. And lastly, just general information that the BI team can access or can gather is like credit card information, email addresses, normal addresses, date of birth, and then social media links are huge. So enabling users to log in with their social media has become very popular. It's called single sign-on, SSO. And whether they choose their Google account or their Facebook account, all these accounts are relatively linked, and being able to have access to this social media data, and everybody chooses it because it's simply easier, is a huge benefit to the BI team. It enables us to track friends and recommend doctors, locations, etc. to our users. That being said, we just discussed all this data that we can collect. However, data privacy and security has to be at the top of our list. So first and foremost, we need to compartmentalize the databases and the administrators and users that govern them. Security has to be a top priority, like I said, because of the sensitivity of this data. Credit card information, if we're going to utilize social media links, that data has to be gathered very carefully. We don't want to collect too much data, so avoid excessive data. That's just going to bloat databases, eventually a data warehouse, we'll talk about in a second. And then if data is compromised via a database, either a technical malfunction or an external attack, that's just simply more user data that we will lose, and that's user trust that you can never get back. So security can be done by database backups regularly, encryptions, etc. But mostly, we really need to focus on who's accessing the database, as users will be interacting with it in the apps, as well as which parts of the technical staff will have access to the database and be governing it. Make sure that nobody has too much access, but they also need enough access to fulfill their duties and responsibilities. So as I said, data warehouses, they're a great alternative for data security. So a data warehouse is not a database. You could kind of think about it as a place that stores data from multiple databases, but that would still not do it justice. A data warehouse provides you more security because now if there's ever a breach or a technical malfunction with a specific database, that database has been backed up to the data warehouse and now can be immediately restored to the most secure and stable previous version. And the data loss will be very minimal, and there will be limited to no downtime during that occurrence. Furthermore, the data warehouse stores historical data from the databases for trend analysis over time. So when you need data from 5 years ago, 10 years ago, last year even, the data warehouse can store all of that for you. This prevents database overload or bloat, which is what causes a lot of web and mobile interactions to be slow. Phones are really fast nowadays, but if you're interacting with an online database, it doesn't matter the processor in your phone or in your computer. It's all about internet speed, and even then it's about the speed at which the data can be retrieved from the database. Data warehouses also enable the creation of dashboards, which is where executive summaries and reports can be generated, which we'll get into a second, to display all of these trends, analyses, and any insights that you want to gather. Excuse me. So as I said, executive dashboards are created from data warehouses. executive dashboards are basically a visual display of your data. Uh, Interactive dashboards allow for varying degrees of granularity, and the key is granularity. Too coarse or too fine is wrong. So too coarse would be too much of a big picture. Too fine would be looking at individual pieces of data too much. You want it just right. Think about Goldilocks. You don't want too much. You don't want too little. You want it just right. If you're looking at one particular customer and their one particular visit at a doctor, you couldn't get very much. You could get a lot of information from them. In perspective, it's not a lot, but you can't gather any meaningful insights from that one piece of information. Versus if you're looking at the yearly, just the yearly number of doctor visits or the yearly visitors on your web app, your web portal, that doesn't tell you much either. You need to break it down by location and time and what they're searching, like looking at that more. Interactive dashboards allows you to do this. It allows you to take this big picture and narrow it down so you can get a fine-grained report, but it's not too fine. And lastly, executive dashboards have the benefit over executive reports in that reports are assigned to the business intelligence team. You say, we would like an executive report, and they say, okay. Now they have to go and make it and then deliver it to you and present it to you. This takes at least a day or two. At that point, data is already outdated. It's like more or less half a week. It could even be a whole week, 5 days, 4 days. Now the data is outdated. Executive dashboards can take the data from the data warehouse, display it in real time to you in an easily consumable way that doesn't require a quote translator from the BI team. And better yet, it's available anywhere. It's online, it's electronic. You can access it from your phone whenever you want, as long as security measures are taken. So I've given you a lot of information to think about today, but ultimately I want to remind you, business intelligence is about taking data related to the company and using it to make actionable intelligence to exploit competitive market advantages. So why should you use BI then? Even though it might seem like a lot of work, the cost of BI will be time and resources. But the cost of not using BI and missing out on exploiting a market advantage or exploiting an incorrect market advantage that you perceived, that cost could be the loss of the company. So investing in BI to have solid data and information to support your decisions is not something to take lightly. But not investing in BI could cost you the company. So that's just something to think about. All right, and thank you for your time today. That's it for me.